Alright, State Oil and Gas Board of Alabama governing onshore land operation administrative code, chapter 401-6 production. Table of contents 401-601 general O2 protection oil and gas, O3 initial bottom hole pressure survey, O4 pressure volume temperature analysis, O5 pressure multiple completions, O6 recompletion reworking, O7 the tanks for tank batteries, O8 dikes, O9 berms, O10 site maintenance, 11 location fired vessels, 12 authorization to clean tanks. General. Design construction of any of the well production facility must review some of the sound engineering principles must take into account with the composition well stream of the maximum pressure for the other pertinent engineering data information allowable the following. The well should be produced from tubing. Anchored packers should also be equipped with a master valve with adequate chokes and be with the properly control of the flow thereof. The supervisor may approve of the alternative proceed with the properly controlling of the well flow upon request by the operator. 401-602 protection of the oil and gas. Before any of the gas well is complete with the producing horizon shall be shielded with separated in order to prevent the content of the passing into another stratum except with the test purpose of prove the supervisor no well shall be permitted to produce the oil and gas simultaneously with a different stratum with the same string with the casing without permission with the board after notice of the hearing. 401-603 initial bottom hole survey, but unless otherwise specified with the supervisor operator completing with the well with the new oil gas pool shall be performed with the initial bottom hole pressure survey that said pool prior to receive the temporary allowable the supervisor with the bottom hole pressure survey shall be performed with bottom hole pressure gauge. Result of the survey shall be reported with the supervisor with the bottom hole pressure survey shall be conducted for at least 24 hours in accordance with the industry standards. Alright, 401-604 pressure volume temperature analysis. Unless otherwise specified the supervisor operator completing with a well and a new oil gas condensation pool with a measured depth of 6,000 feet with a grave shall perform the personal volume temperature for the analysis of the subsurface sample the recombined surface sample of hydrocarbon fluid said well prior to receiving the temporary allowable from the supervisor for the analysis shall be performed in accordance with the industry standards and the results shall be reported with the supervisor. 401-605 procedure for the multiple completions. The information should be submitted with the supervisor approval showing at the top and the bottom of all of the zones proposed with the completion, including with the partial electrical log with the diagrammatic schematic showing with the scope of the zones equipment to be used. 2. If the zones are used to approve of the multiple completion become incooperated intercommunicated operator shall after the obtain with approval of the supervisor immediately repair the wells so that separate slash zones. 401-606 recompletion of the reworking. Prior to the commencement recompletion of the reworking operation approval shall be detained with the supervisor. The supervisor may recover the work over the recompletion proceed with the submitted with the writing and left with the exemption is granted by the supervisor. The operator shall submit the written submit the procedure statement that says addressing the following and the reason for the work over the calculated bottom of the hole with the pressure method of the controlling pressure of the expected hydrogen sulfide concentration of the well stream blowout preventative of the agreements arrangements for the test requirement of the blowout preventative to be used during operation if the work over the recompletion is being performed on the well which contains hydrogen sulfide the working being performed require with the wellhead to be removed with the form OGB 24 operator certificate of compliance operation including involved in the hydrogen sulfide shall accompany with the work with the recompletion with the procedure. If the work or recompletion is being performed as a well, it should contain with the hydrogen sulfide, but the hydrogen sulfide gas shall not be vented. 2. If after the recompletion reworking conditions have begun and the unexpected well bore conditions are encountered, the operator may at his own risk proceed with the appropriate remedial action assumed with the practical the supervisor will identify with the remedial action within 30 days of the recompletion of the reworking of the operation. The operator shall submit with the revised form OGB 6, OGB 7, OGB 8, and OGB 9 where applicable in one copy with additional logs. 401-607 the tank and tank batteries. The sign shall be posted for the maintainment of the legible state with the conspicuous display with the name of the tank and tank batteries. Such sign shall be posted for the tank of the tank batteries installed shall remain posted until the tank of the tank battery is removed in the location. Restored sign shall be included with the name of the operator, the name of the number, such as the name of the battery listing over the permanent and design of the well with the fluids allowing into the battery and section of township range county which the tank and the tank battery is located. Alright, 401-608 dikes. All permitting tanks and tank outlet treaters of the other facilities use the store oil of the condensate salt water with the main space around the dike, which construct with the maintaining the man with the capable of the retaining fluids. Contaminant area of the tram with the dike should be aligned with the material capable of the retaining fluid, but the containment area should be the capacity with at least 1.5 times the tank of the other vessels containing the fluids of either of the tanks shall have 2 feet high on the inside of the wall unless otherwise approved. The supervisor may require that the dikes around the facility that contain contain oil with the condensate, salt water, other fluids. In this case, the tank battery of the tank have the capacity and volume of the 1.5 times the largest tank of the battery. In an event where the dike shall be at least 2 feet high over the inside of the wall, unless otherwise approved with the supervisor. Top of the dike must be at least 2 feet higher than the bottom of the lowest tank of the other vessel, with containing the fluid of the tanks for the other vessels containing the fluids must be elevated to provide enough gradient with allowable the drainage away from the tank and toward the dike, and no oil, condensation, salt, water, other deleterious substance shall be allowed to remain within the containment area. Drainage fluids or contaminant and areas shall be authorized by appropriate permit or other regulations. 401-609 berm. Supervisor may require for the containment to be a berm at least 2 feet high with the inside of the wall constructed downslope side of the well location of the location used to store the well, condensation, and salt water. Alright, 400-610. Site maintenance access roads shall be maintained to allow for the motor vehicle to all to sites such as well site with the production facility, the site with the Class 2 injection facility, the site with the underground storage facility with all unusable material of the equipment shall be removed from the site. Any representative relief of vegetation shall constitute with the fire hazard shall be removed with a distance of at least 50 feet from the wellhead with the production facility with the separation of the heater, treaters, and tank of the pumps, tank plants, pump stations, meters run in boundary well site with whichever is less. For all waste other material, including petroleum contaminated soil, shall be removed from the location disposed with a lawfully approved facility, recyclable to dispose in accordance with the appropriate permit with the regulation provided here with the petroleum contained in soil may be approved by the supervisor for the on-site remediation. All waste being removed from the location should comply with the requirements of Rule 400-1903, transportation waters associated with the oil and gas operation. 5. All site conditions must meet the approval of the supervisor. 401-611 location fired vessels. All heaters, treaters for the other 5 vessels placed in the operation should be located at least 100 feet away from any of the well liquid hydrocarbon storage tank. Friday, however, the supervisor may grant the exemption to this requirement upon submission written verification by the operator. 401-612 authorization clean tank operator wishing to clean the tank must notify the supervisor submitting form OGB 21. Operation may enter for the notification of the content of the tank shall be manifest in accordance with Rule 400-193. Relating to the transportation waste shall be disposed of allowed with the appropriate permit and regulations. And note, previous chapter 400-106, repealed new chapters, add in lieu thereof. Alright, that was your production.